Yeah.
And so you mentioned something I want to talk about. You mentioned like proteins and toxins and stuff like that. So most people that are working out, the key word that you hear everybody say is protein. You gotta have enough protein.
Yeah.
And I used to be that way too, and I'd be like, okay, well, to get to these goals and calculate everything, okay, I must be hitting 200 grams of protein a day. And back then, when I was doing the 200 protein day of grams, I was 165 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I was aiming to put on more size and muscle and everything like that. And since intermittent fasting and since my newfound knowledge with yourself, I'm having significantly less protein, still getting the same results. It's not like I'm having no protein, but I'm probably going from that to like 120 grams a day, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more. And sometimes it's like significantly less, and sometimes it's significantly more, so like 150 grams, and then maybe one day it's only like 40 grams or something.
That's awesome. That right there is diet variation, right? I mean, I take it, most people can relate to this with regards to their bone. So our bone has osteoblasts, osteoclasts. Osteoblasts build bone, osteoclasts break it down. This process of bone turnover, rebuilding, repairing, and catabolizing bone is actually what makes it strong. One of the hallmarks of osteoporosis, which is basically this chronic catabolic state, is that we're not getting this bone turnover cycle happening. Same thing happens with muscle. But the mechanism to turn on muscle growth and muscle repair is all to do with the protein levels, right? Because it's signaling certain hormones like insulin and mTOR, and there's a bunch of other ones. So the big thing is that if we maintain really high levels of protein for a very long time, we're always trying to push growth.
Right.
And growth, there's nothing wrong with growth, but we also need repair. We need enough turnover in that muscle so that we can also get the signal to clean the debris, so we can clean that inflamed tissue. Because we know when we're working out, you're actually stressing the muscle to the point of lactic acid release and muscle breakdown. You're actually stressing the muscle, but the muscle doesn't get to hit repair properly if the signal is constantly, the gas pedal's down for growth. And this is the message. So you can definitely, I see patients all the time where they come in, I have to wake up in the middle of the night and take an extra shot of protein so that I don't get catabolic. And what we see when we look at their hormones is their insulin is super high. And so insulin's it's your hibernation hormone. It's teaching you to store. It's all about grow. Without that repair, you lose the ability to actually break down fat appropriately, which is that other mechanism. So here's the thing. At any given sitting, your body only wants to take in about 30 grams of protein. That's been biochemically shown to be the perfect amount for growth. And so maybe you hit that, a few times in your day if you're having a couple meals, or you have a couple, or you have one large meal with a lot of protein. And that's all good, but make sure you have days in your week or your month, at least if you don't want to sacrifice the week, days in your month where you're protein sparing.
Right.
And I actually tell people, easiest way to do this is you want to get under 20 grams to trigger this process or deepen this process called autophagy, which is a cellular repair or cellular renewal. You need to actually be under 20 grams. You need to be outside of that growth phase of 30 grams of protein. So you're actually, and it's going to sound crazy to some of you who are full on into the protein, but look up this science and go back and listen to this again, because it's actually that mechanism for growth happens at 30 grams or more. So you want to be under 20 to make sure that you're in that deep state of autophagy. So I tell patients, go vegetarian that day, get rid of all animal products, don't use any amino acids or protein powders, just get rid of it for that day. It could be 1 day a week, it could be 2 days a week. It depends on someone's goals. If you really want to size up, do it once a week. If you want to maintain the trimness and you recognize the benefit of living long and healthy, it's actually about having more protein sparing days. Right. And so getting under that 20 grams is really, really important.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And about the recovery and repair, I remember back then, it was before you and I met actually, and I had so much protein and I was slightly bloated and everything like that. I remember the doctors that I was with then taking blood labs and other panels and saying the amount of muscle breakdown in your body is surprisingly high, and it's staying there. It's very alarming and scary. They're like, usually if somebody has that, we think that they have a heart problem.
It's just creatine kinase probably.
So what I did is I stopped the crazy amount of workouts and the crazy amount of protein just for a couple of weeks just to get retested because they're quite concerned.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, it doesn't seem like a problem. You're just you're overtraining and your body's not repairing fast enough.
Then that's such an important message.
So I couldn't even jam in enough protein. Back then I was like, well, I'll just jam in more protein and it'll repair faster. And back then I was needing naps throughout the day. Like I would train myself, have a nap for like 20 minutes to just rest my nervous system, and then I would train other people and have a nap, and then constantly, just because I guess my body was just constantly trying to repair. It's like, hey, you need time to repair. You're not repairing.
Totally.
Now I have lots of time to repair, and it's instead of my training from twice a day, a couple hours a day, for 6 days a week, now it's like 3 times a week for half an hour to 45 minutes. It's still intense. Awesome. It's not.
Oh, for sure.
It's not.
And you still look phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Like
so
it's not like you're.
And my goal is to maintain and put on a little bit throughout the years, but I don't need. My goal is not to look like a massive bodybuilder, also because. And there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't want to intimidate or scare my current clientele. That's not what I'm going for. It's more, and I realized when I was bigger like that, even a walk down the block, I'd be winded. I'm like, well, I can't. That's not right. I'm young. I shouldn't feel my heart beating out of my chest. Just walking. That's not right. I want to be able to live till 90. I want to be able to do all the things I want to do, or 100, or whatever it is, and play hockey, play golf if I choose to, travel around the world. That's more optimal health. And the bonus, hopefully I look great too.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a huge bonus, especially when you're going to be traveling to the beach areas.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? What I was going to say on that was that, that's one of the things I ask all the patients who come in and are on these higher protein diets, and I say, listen, what's your short-term goal? What's your long-term goal? Hopefully our long-term goal makes more sense. Yeah. My long-term goal is to live to 150 and beyond, and I keep saying that so I lock it in. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to get there, to live with vitality and high energy, cognition, all that stuff. It's unlikely that pumping chronic states of protein, eating every couple hours, we know that this actually shortens lifespan. One of the longevity experts, his name's Dr. Walter Longo, he talks about how protein sparing is one of the biggest, most essential tools to a long, healthy life. So I know from his research and from others' research that doing high protein and really getting stuck in a growth phase actually will shorten lifespan. So I'm all for variation. Maybe you want to have chunks of time where you're really in growth, but you got to ask yourself the question: what's my long-term goal? What's my short-term goal? If your short-term goal is to the sacrifice of your long-term goal, it's time to reassess. And I ask patients all the time. I say, listen, I get that you like looking a certain way. I hear you. What if you could still look a certain way, but be way healthier doing it, and we can run your labs to show that actually you're by far more healthy, and that might just involve some lifestyle changes, and if we can change your mindset around that so we can align you more deeply with your long-term goal, then we can start to mold the short-term goal, and in fact you may be able to just you may be able to maintain that same physique that you've really become habit with, or become because the other side of this is actually orthorexia, is like being so obsessed with how we look that we sacrifice our health for that. And these are important questions we all have to ask, because I've had that almost my whole life. I've always been really concerned with how I look, and as a result, I make sure I go to the gym, I make sure I eat properly. But in my obsession with wanting to look a certain way, I had to start asking, well, what is my body actually saying? What are my labs actually saying? I mean, you brought that up a few times. Like, what is actually going on? Am I sacrificing short-term or my long-term goals for a short-term gain?
Yeah.
And so we all have to ask that.
Yeah, and almost everybody's probably been in a similar state. I know I was like that too, and that was the time when I was doing my twice a week or twice a day workouts and everything like that. And I didn't care about, I cared about lots of things, but that was priority number one, and nothing was going to get in my way of doing that, looking a certain way. Yeah. Maybe realize, like, so back then it was just like more of a shield for me for different other things I was going through in my life. And that's when I met lots of other cool bodybuilders, bikini models, and everything like that, and listened to their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of times they had something traumatic happen in their life, and that was their shield.
Mm-hmm.
Most people think those people are scary or intimidating,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like the softest little teddy bears usually,
so true, yeah.
because it's some sort of shield. And not with everybody. There's a very rare percentage that aren't going through something, but most of them that I met, they were going through something.
Totally.
And luckily enough, I got over what I was going through. Just constant self-development. And then for the snacking and all other things that we kind of talked upon, I was reflecting and just thinking about it. It's like, well, my grandparents and great-grandparents weren't snacking that much. Some of them were farmers, so they had maybe 1 or 2 big meals a day because they were working so hard. And when I reflect back to, most of them lived to like 100 or 101 or 90, and had everything, mental, physical, until like the last days, and they were still happy. And then now hearing people like 50s and 60s getting really sick and then passing away, it's really sad. And then I was like, okay, well, what is the biggest difference? They ate healthy back then when they said...
Mostly organic, right?
Yeah, almost really organic, right from the farm, some even milk right from the cow, butter, everything was right there. Super crazy fresh. And they were active, so it keeps coming back down to like how you treat yourself. And they sat down, and also when they ate, it wasn't a rush. They actually made sure to sit down, usually as a family, and just eat, laugh, have fun. They drank a little bit too, not an excessive amount, but just they had fun during that time. They're like, okay, well, back to work, and then everybody would go back to work. And it's so different. Like, so now we're like rush. We're always in state. I have to have a snack. Why? Well, because I was told I need a snack. I need to do this.
Totally. We've given our power away. We've just bought into this new way of living, and we've forgotten all these nuggets. Because all the blue zones are areas around the world where people are living past 100, the highest percentage of centenarians. And you just listed off all the main criteria that allows people to live that long. One is be in community, enjoy your family time together, reduce the caloric intake to a certain degree by eating a lot less snacks than we do in our day and age, shrinking a meal window, because most of these people do eat in a more restricted time period. They're active, they're all engaged mentally, they're always doing something to increase productivity or performance or solving problems or what have you. They're constantly engaged. And those are some of the main nuggets. The other one outside of that is usually these blue zones also have lower protein intake, but that's the message. I mean, just doing those things alone will help you get towards that long-term goal of like living long and healthy life without dropping dead early of an illness that you just shouldn't have acquired. And so maybe that's some good homework for them. Start to, what are your short-term goals in the next like 5 to 10 years? How long do you want to live? Write this down.
I would write that down, because lots of people, honestly, they're like, oh, I hope I just make it to retirement. And if that's honestly your true belief and that's all you want, then maybe that's fine for you. For me, that doesn't...
Well, we're going to retire when we're 150, so I guess there's truth to that, right?
Yeah, so, and... but figure out what you want. I think that's a good goal. It's like, okay, what do you want to live? Well, I only want to live to 70. Okay, why is it to 70? Well, because everybody in my life is really sick. They don't have their mind. They don't have their body then. Okay, well, does that have to be you? Well, it has to, because of my genetics and this and that and all my family. But maybe yes, maybe it's a little bit harder, but maybe still it doesn't have to be like that. So figure out why you're telling yourself those things. And then kind of work backward. Okay, what are the steps I have to do? These are the things I have to do this year. These are the things I have to do for the next X amount of years. And as long as you have a plan in any aspect of life, at least you know what you need to do, and you can break it down. It's easier than you think. Like, think about how fast last year went, and the year before that. In 5 years, like how fast did the last 5 years fly by? So imagine you're doing like 1 or 2 things planned out consistently that's adding up. So instead of investing in stocks or putting away savings, put away like health save, like these should be a part of your things. Like, okay, I'm putting away money for my family so that when I'm gone, they're taken care of. Well, how about you're not gone? Things happen though, so and it is really sad. But if you invest in your health, even if you were to get sick or get some sort of disease, if you're living in an optimal health, there's greater chances of surviving,
for sure,
and then repairing, because also you're in a state where I was like, okay, yesterday I could do this because I was living in optimal health.
Yeah.
Versus, well, yesterday I couldn't do any of those things anyways, and now I have this going on. So,
Yeah, I love that. It's such a powerful message because, even leave all this money or whatever, or there are these investments for my kids. What if you just had more memories with your kids? Like wouldn't that mean a whole? Not that it's not important to set your kids up in the future generations. It's very important. But what if you had more time on this planet? What would you do with it? What if you could take more family vacations? Like, what if you could be more energetic and play with your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids and maybe beyond that? Wouldn't that be amazing if you could have those memories? And because when we go, that's kind of it. We don't take anything with us except for whatever your belief system is. But so anyways, I think writing down those things, reflecting on it, asking those whys, which you're so good at doing. You're so good at unpacking why something is the way it is, and these are important conversations, right? Yeah.
So what would you say their main takeaway in their homework piece? It would be what?
Yeah, I think we have the 3-step breakdown for intermittent fasting. So I'd say start somewhere in that 3 category piece, and then start writing down your long-term why, your long-term goal, your short-term goal, and make sure there's congruency there so that you can take that short-term and turn it into that long-term goal. Yeah, with all those suggestions you said of asking why. Yeah, I think it's good.
And then on top of that, to add on to that, so when you're setting your long-term goal, like I would add 3 more things. So what is your belief that you'll get there on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
What is your desire on a scale of 1 to 10? And what is your motivation on a scale of 1 to 10? If it's all 1, well, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
If it's all 10, then it'll be it. Or if maybe you're like, I'm motivated, but my belief is a 0.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try and figure out why. So again, asking those questions like a why do I believe that? That's interesting. I never thought of it till right now when I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So just be mindful. And write things down. Journal like what when you're doing your 3 meals and when you're doing your 2 meals. Feel.
Yeah.
How does it make me feel? Does it make me happy? Does it make me sad? Why is that? How does it make my body feel? Well, my body feels like I can do more things, but I feel sad for some reason. Well, why? Maybe it's you're missing out on something.
Totally.
And
that's great.
And that's the best way. It's just everybody is different. We're all unique, and we're just kind of piecing the puzzle together.
Totally.
So that's your homework and your takeaway. Comment below and let us know what your goals are, what your plans are. Let us know your homework. That'd be amazing. If you have questions or you want to challenge what we're saying,
totally.
We're open to everything. So we're very open-minded, and what we believe today, could not be the right thing tomorrow. What we were taught like 50 years ago doesn't apply anymore, or just so.
Yeah, or there's some pieces that still do, but it had to go through a rigorous, challenging experience.
And we love researching, so
definitely.
If there's just a better way and you can prove it and this and that, and I'll definitely take you up on the challenge.
Definitely, please.
That's how we got along so well together. I took him up on his challenge.
Yeah.
And here we are today.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Yeah, so that's Cellular Fitness episode 2. Again, please ask questions so we can make more of these. We love sharing this information.
Perfect. All right, thanks.
Okay. See you guys next time.
Cheers.